Moorish World TV, where I'm your super excited, hyper ADHD host. I do this for the ADHD generation. I do this for all the people that they said wasn't moving too fast or moving too fast. I do it for them. I don't do it for all y'all know-it-alls, you know, all you super scholars. I say in the song, all you super scholars holler. This arrow for the workers. See, this arrow right now is for those that's on the ground doing the work. So today we got my sister, my friend, and y'all know I got to keep focused on the camera. If I look down there, that's where her picture is at. I can't look down there because then I'm gonna lose my focus. You know, I gotta stay focused. I'm at work now. You know, I'm gonna lose my focus. Listen, every single time, man, let me tell y'all something. Look, y'all be thinking I be doing this for a show, but I be telling y'all the truth. Every time I'm ready to do a show, right? Sister been on the show, I think 2 times or 3. Well, I don't know. I say 2. Whatever. Anyway. Every time I'm ready to do a show, right? Listen. I don't know if y'all friends with the sister on Facebook, right? Now listen, I'm working to be a righteous brother. I'm trying my best. I'm doing the best that I got to work with. But I got to go on her Facebook page to find a picture so I can do an ad. I mean, I want to put an ad out. I want to make it look nice, whatever. Every time I go on there, she got to be on there flexing like she about to go through a tournament or something. Now that bitch could have been a year old, 2 years old, whatever the case may be. But she up there flexing. Listen, don't go on her Facebook page. I'm trying to tell you, don't do it. If you're striving for purity in life and things like that, and you got weak, and you go, that's all I gotta say about that. But anyway, I'm telling you, sister's a beautiful sister, and this is gonna be a beautiful show. This show is not about. Okay, I want you to tell a friend that the Moorish American National. Don't worry. You're not the topic of discussion today. You know what I mean? Hype views, I'm going to kick you out already because you ain't talking about nothing. Come on, man. Listen, you can tell them that they really not the topic of discussion today. Now, I will touch on some of the issues that concern some people. I do have a list of questions because I asked people to put up some questions. I know how these Moorish American National guys do these Taj Tariqites. Soon as they see me put up the sister flyer, they go super bananas. I'm talking about bananas over there. But guess what? They start to get into this legal jargon concerning the sister. But when I put up the flyer with Malik Zulu Shabazz, they ain't say nothing but the legal jargon. Like, it make me think that y'all one-sided. Y'all one-sided with like y'all got something against women or something. Like, you know, you got that little thing going on. Because the show that did with Malik Zulu Shabazz, ain't nobody asked him one question about status, and one question about him working for the European in another country. You know, all that stuff they say. They ain't say one thing to Malik Zulu, not one thing. I mean, they talk about the Bar Association, about a sellout. They didn't say one thing about Malik Zulu Shabazz, not one. So it made me think, y'all on that old European male chauvinistic foolishness because the sister, but guess what? The sister can hold her own. I mean, so y'all want to leave Malik alone. See, and Malik gonna be the one that's gonna be probably more easy with you. He probably gonna say, well, brother, I'm just doing the. He gonna be smooth with you. Sister gonna give you that work. So come on at the sister if you want to, and you're gonna get that work. That's just what it is. But it's a shame that we as a group of people, the moment that we see a sister standing for something, you know what I mean? The moment that we see a sister standing for something, it's like our weak, and I gotta do it. Our weak, insignificant, and they insignificant for real. Because this is what defines them, to attack people on YouTube, to attack people on Facebook, don't even know the person personally. But to attack a sister. They always want to attack a sister. But when it comes to the brothers, they don't say nothing. So, there's a sad thing about some of our people. The insignificant, they define their self-worth. That's what I'm looking for. They define their self-worth by attacking somebody, and then they attack a sister. But guess what? We got something for them nice. So let me bring in my sister, the esteemed attorney, Ikiesha Al-Shabazz Whittaker. Sister, come on in.
How you doing? How you doing? Greetings and salutations. I'm sorry for earlier. I had some technical difficulty, but thank you. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you well. I tell you, I got to look up here. I ain't looking. I can't look at you. I can't do it. Can't do it.
Cut it out. Cut it out.
Introduce yourself to the people, and I want to get into knowing a little bit about you before I even talk about some of these questions. Some of them are ridiculous, sis. Some of them are extremely ridiculous. But I'm going to tell you what you helped me with. One thing that you helped me with is, and I want you to introduce yourself. Matter of fact, introduce yourself, sis, and I'm going to tell you what you helped me with.
Okay. I'm a practicing attorney here in New York City. I'm a former narcotics prosecutor. Right now, presently, I handle predominantly criminal defense matters. I'm also a college professor, and I'm a mom of 2 sons first. And, you know, I try to, I guess I'm an advocate for social justice.
Indeed, indeed. So one of the things that I have to mention is this. Just listening to, and you don't give your resume any justice. You know that. You don't give your resume any justice. You're very humble with your resume, because if you Google your name, you know for sure that the whole page is going to fill up with your accomplishment. But one thing I know for sure, that you help me and you help the Moorish paradigm. And people would say, why you let her on the show? She call herself black, and they get caught up in all of this vernacular and all this foolishness, right? It's foolishness. But I'm going to tell you what you helped me with. I'm going to tell you off the top. Most of these brothers are so confused as it relates to the teachers of the Moorish Science Temple of America that when you and I met, you said, well, I didn't know that it was something like you demonstrate or like what you represent. But because they have let that foolishness take wheels, have wheels and roll down the street. Mm-hmm. But the same brother that's asking why you calling yourself black and I allow that on the show or whatever the case may be, first and foremost, this is Moorish World TV. Secondly, I am qualified to understand my people like everybody else should be qualified to understand their people as it relates to how they refer to themselves. Let me direct your attention real quick before we get into this presentation. This is an article from the Moorish Guide, 1928. 1928. For all of these Moors that want to be Moorish American but claim that something wrong with somebody being a lawyer or an attorney, if you will, Prophet Noble Drew Ali had an attorney by the name of Aaron Payne. This brother here from Pittsburgh, he was charged in Pittsburgh because he was performing marriage ceremonies and charging $10. And they charged him, they falsely accused him, and they charged him with trying to marry off sisters for $10. Anyway, this was the report from the article, and I read this and then we'll get into it. And I'm gonna do it in the middle of the show too, so them Taj Tariqites can see this, because they got a problem with attorneys. But they say they follow Prophet Noble Drew Ali. It says, your dear brother Broti Cumbie Bay of Pittsburgh, PA, and Governor Grant, with much joy send you greetings that he went to his trial in the criminal court on the 4th day of September, 1928. And the case lasted 2 days with the attorney A. Martin, who is employed by the year to take care of any case that comes before the temples in Pennsylvania. Notice there is not a Bay or L on A. Martin name. And do we know if he's Asiatic or European or so-called white or so-called black? Do we know that? We know he ain't no Bay or L. That's one thing. And they paid him for a year. Let's read. The case was vindication, and the governor T.C. Bay is free to go on with the mighty work of the Moorish Science Temple. The attorney Albert Martin did his bit in the defense of Mr. Bay, and his co-worker, Sister M. Johnson Bay. The prosecution in the case is over, and all the liars will have to find another lie. May our God, Allah, be upon the poor, foolish people of this city, because when they think, they stand, they must heed lest they fall. Because when they think they stand, they must heed lest they fall. Our God Allah did rule today and tomorrow. But again, this is for those that have took on this crazy concept that attorneys is the demon. Like, why wouldn't I want somebody to represent me in a system that I'm unfamiliar with? That doesn't even make sense to me, that I will go into a system that I'm unfamiliar with and try to represent myself. And I'm not really, I haven't been, we got people went to school for years. So with that brings me to my sister. Sis, can you tell a little bit about yourself? How much schooling did you have before you entered into the practice of law?
Okay, I'll tell you my whole story. Maybe it'll inspire somebody.
Yes, please do, sister.
Grew up in South Jamaica, 40 projects. I graduated from Grover Cleveland High School. From there, I went to Bennett College. I was a girl from the project with a very big chip on my shoulder. I was overweight. I had an attitude problem. I fought everything that moved. I was there for 1 semester, left there. So you can start counting. From that semester, my GPA wasn't good enough for me to get into any school. So I took up a trade. I learned how to do nails. I became a nail technician. And then I went to BMCC for a semester. Got my GPA up. I was able to transfer to John Jay. I spent 5 years in John Jay because I had to take a year off my last year because I had a son. So I got my bachelor's from John Jay. From John Jay, I went to New York Law School. I went to school part-time because I had to work full-time. So I went there for 4 years and I got a Juris Doctor degree from New York Law School. I also taught at New York Law School as an adjunct professor of law, and I currently teach at a CUNY school now. So altogether, 9 years. Not including the year I had to take off, so 8, if you count. Right. So it was a lot of bumps along the way, but I did it.
And the reason why I asked you that, because we got people that either they may go to prison or they may learn some in the prison law library, or they may look on the internet in this day and time and find some things that they think is applicable for today's society. For example, brings me to a question real quick, and we'll bounce back and forth, where a brother asked me the question was, now listen to this. Listen to this. The brother asked me, do the treaty, now listen, do the Treaty of Tripoli still stand? These sorts of questions in the world that we live in today on the ground, whether it be in New York, I'm in Baltimore, it's the same thing, just a different city. He asking, do the Treaty in Tripoli, do the Treaty of Tripoli still stand? Mind you, that treaty was 1792, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
How do you address things like that? I don't know, sis. I'm just asking.
For what? Well, first of all, I'm not familiar with the Treaty of Tripoli. And second of all, the United States decides which treaties it likes to honor and which treaties it doesn't. And we as a people, we really have no recourse. So what import does that have in your life? What does that do for you as a person living in the wilderness in North America? What does that do for you?
No.
So what? Whether they honor it or not. So you find out that they didn't honor it. Then what? What's your next move? Right? I'm not interested in this reductio ad absurdum arguments where if you go to the end, the conclusion is so ridiculous that the proposition is not even worth us discussing.
I agree. Is there a difference between legal and lawful?
No.
These brothers, because I'm asking you, and I put on that for a point to draw those people in that say there's a difference between legal and lawful, and there's a difference between code and statute.
Between a woman and a female.
Since I just want to get these dumb questions out the way. Another thing.
I got good analogies for these things. So, let's go.
So when somebody say, let's get, this is another question. This is from Noble Son. Noble Son, and we gonna build on this. Noble Son says he has 3 questions, and he has 4, and I'm gonna ask all 4 questions. Okay. You know what I'm saying? He asked, but one of the first questions, ask her, and this is another ridiculous question to me. I'm sorry, Noble Son.
You're gonna ask it, but okay.
It's ridiculous because I want people to see how ridiculous they sound, and then we're going to get to how you relate to the benefit of what we're doing here on Moorish World TV. Ask her, can the state force the Moors to amalgamate with them by the way of forced assimilation?
No.
Let me say something before the sister. I like that. That's a short answer. Nobody can force you to
constitutional amendment. You have a constitutional right to be left alone. You have a constitutional right to exercise whatever it is you believe. They can't force you to abandon that, give that up. No. So no.
Indeed. He said, ask her, is American law, I'm gonna just write it like this. In American law, does admiralty law overrides the constitutional law?
No.
Come on, these are very basic questions. And see, this is why I do what I do. Because, whether anybody know, and I hate to keep calling names, but when you look at a brother like Taj Tariq Bey, he has taken this thing by storm as it relates to trying to instruct people into the ways of law, but he's never been a lawyer. He's never been a lawyer. He's never been in the courtroom. He never approached the bench. He never did the things that qualify you to say that you are an attorney. That's just like going to a doctor who haven't had nothing on the wall to say he has studied the practice of medicine. He had practiced medicine, but they're running with this madness. You follow me? Anything you want to add to that?
I mean, it's quite ridiculous to me that anyone would engage someone who doesn't have the skill, the technical skill, and the educational training and background and experience to deal with your particular issue. If you have cancer, you don't go to a podiatrist, right? There are, even within these different disciplines, there are specialties. Right. And there are lawyers who know more about civil law than they know about criminal law and things of that nature. For you to engage someone who has none of that training, skills, education, or everything I just listed is ridiculous. There's a saying that a lawyer, if he got in trouble or she got in trouble and represented themselves, they'd have a fool for a client. So even someone who is trained shouldn't represent themselves, much less someone who's not trained representing themselves. It's a recipe for disaster.
I agree. So one more thing. One thing that is common within the Moorish paradigm, and this is why you help me. In the Moorish paradigm, I don't believe our Moorish compadres, if you will, that are not a part of the temple. They because it's too much, it's too regimented in the temple. See, even when I'm up here hooping and hollering and brothers in the temple like, oh my God, what is he doing? And they pick up the phone, but they had to get used to it. Mm-hmm. But my phone used to be off the hook when I started this, But I was like, brother, we got to wake them up. I mean, we can't talk like we diplomatic all the time. Sometimes we just got to scream at people. Mm-hmm. And my phone used to be jumping. But now people understand. More than the Temple understand. I'm a dedicated Moorish Science Temple of America member. But these brothers are outside the temple, and so they don't have I don't think they have the proper knowledge to understand the walk of prophet Noble Dry Leaf, because the founder of the organization had an attorney, had 2 attorneys. It's on the record. Right. So right. What do you say to someone who says that you work? What is that exactly? Is the bar association? Before we get to that, what is that? What is that, sister?
The Bar Association is an organization of attorneys, and they have a group that you can join if you want. You pay monthly dues. That's the Bar Association. There's one in every county and one in every state. That it has nothing to do with anything. The Bar Association, it's a group, just like the Electricians Association. In the any trade that has an association, a group, then they have a conference every year where they go and they meet and they talk about what's new in their fields. That's all that is. Now this British crown crap that people keep saying, you're a member of the bar, the BAR, and I forget what it stands for. Them. That has nothing to do with me. When I take a bar exam, it's colloquial. The term bar it represents the physical bar in a courtroom that separates the attorneys from the gallery. That's all it is. It's nothing more than that. It's nothing more. In a courtroom. There's a bar there. The well of the court is where the attorneys go. You're not allowed to pass that bar, that physical barrier in a courtroom. That's the bar. And so it's a colloquialism that you pass the bar exam. So because you become an attorney, you get to pass the physical bar in the room. That's all that means. It's ridiculous. Trying to read into something else just to sort of justify your arguments, it's flawed. For you to suggest that I'm not licensed, that's ridiculous. I pay a licensing fee every 2 years. I have to be registered to practice in this state, and I can't practice in another state unless I am admitted to practice in their state, meaning that I have shown a propensity to understanding their laws, right? Because the laws are different in every state. We have 51 governments. They are each sovereign.
Yes.
That's all I'll say about that.
I'm telling you that is powerful right there, because you went into the bar explanation when I'm looking at this brother Kansu, and I hope that ain't my brother Kansu, because I consider him to be a pretty intelligent brother, and I hope this ain't him. But if it's him, brother, you gotta get with this, because his question went to say that she still never showed her license to practice law. No such license exists. He's saying that there's no license exists to practice law.
All right, hold on.
How true is that? Here we go, Kanzu. Kanzu, I'm losing you on this one, brother. I'm losing you on this one, brother. Because this sister, I'm telling you, this is my sister. I can't wait. Sister, I'm coming to New York soon to the Sinetta TV Awards. I want to see you when I come up there. The more's going to be on deck. We're going to be on deck. We're going to be everywhere. We're going to be in the building. Man, hey, man, listen, family. This is why I called the sister up and got her on the show, because we're going to kill some of these myths, because these people have a misunderstanding what Moorish science is. They have a total misunderstanding. The prophet wouldn't been having none of this. None of this. But the sister go show and prove. That's what I like about the sister. The sister show and prove. See, while they sitting up there talking, while they sitting up there with these talking heads and these little thumb, they got them little thumb thugs talking all of this stuff, I asked everybody, send me your questions. Send me the questions. One thing for sure, we're going to ask the questions. You know what I mean? We're going to ask the questions. And every time somebody come on this show, there is not one question that I do not ask out of the sake of offending them, because they know that I'm not coming to offend, and they know that sometimes I'm just reading the questions. So I know that the sister going to come with the real and answer any question that any person may have. So all of the little thumb thugs, all of the little Twitter fingers, all of the little the national comments, the Moorish National comments, we know that it's not going to work right here, because we coming with the facts. So here we go.
Because I ain't got time to be pregnant. This is what you get when you get sworn in. Can you see? I'm gonna try to. Matter of fact, I don't know if I could zoom in, but if you could see this, if you read, can you read? Can you see the print at all?
I can see
All right, so I'm gonna read it to you, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna screenshot it with my phone, and I'm gonna send it to you, and you could put it up for the people. But I'm gonna read this part which just says, where shall I start? I'll start reading the whole shit. Known ye that Ikiesha Al-Shabazz, having applied to be admitted to practice as an attorney and counselor of law in the courts of record of this state, and having been examined as provided by statute and found qualified, and being a person of good moral character, the said Ikiesha Al-Shabazz, the April of 2002 term of this court, because I had to be sworn in, having taken and subscribed to the court constitutional oath of office as prescribed by law, was duly admitted and licensed to practice as an attorney and counselor in all courts of this state according to the laws of this state and the rules and orders of said court. Now I'm gonna screenshot this, okay? So you can put it up so people can examine it. Because I took this right off my wall. You saw me take it off my wall?
Indeed.
This has got to stop. It's got to stop. The misinformation has got to stop.
And you must have heard me say that. I said, all the misinformation got to stop, because all the part of the plot.
It's got to stop. It's got to stop. Because the inbox it to you, and you could post it up for the people so they can see for themselves. I don't have time to play. I don't have time to lie to people. I don't have time to misguide anyone. I'm saving lives. I'm actually saving lives, more than I can count on my hands and my feet. That's why I'm here. That's why I come on these shows, because I want to give people information, and I want to dispel all of this misinformation that they have, because it's just, it's going to get them in trouble or out of a lot of money, because you're paying people for crap.
Sister, I got as you
brother. I inboxed it to you on Facebook.
I got it. As you said that you get a lot of, you save lives, sister. Can you reflect back on the story I heard you telling about the sister? It was a young sister, that was in the same condition or position that you were to some degree when you were coming up, and how you really railroaded her to get her into the adult system and try to wash her up. Can you share that with the family, please?
Well, in New York, if you commit a crime, and there's been some recent changes to the law, so this happened prior to the changes in the law. If you commit a crime between the ages of 16 and 19 years old, you're eligible for what's called a youthful offender status. In most cases, there are some exceptions. There's always an exception to every rule, but in most cases, this young woman was eligible for youthful offender status for a crime. She allegedly, she had pled guilty to carrying a firearm with a bunch of guys, and one of the guys took the gun from her, and he shot and killed someone. Okay, she never touched the gun. She wasn't, she was there. She was carrying the gun, which is not uncommon. If you grow up in particular neighborhoods, girls oftentimes are the ones who have the weapons, because police officers are less likely to check them. Well, that used to be the story. Now they give everything to the kids, because the kids are less likely to be checked, but that's not even true anymore. But that's been the progression of the secondary labor market. That's what I call it, right? And so this young woman had been charged. She pled guilty, and the argument was whether or not she was deserving of a youthful offender status. And I sat in the courtroom, and when I heard the argument that was about to be made, I paid particular attention, because I really wanted to hear the argument that her lawyer was going to make on her behalf. And I knew, I just, you just get this feeling about things, at least I do. And I knew that he would not be able to articulate her experience in any meaningful way that would convey to the judge how important, and I'm getting emotional again, how important it is for her to not have a felony conviction and have an opportunity after she serves her time to reclaim her life. And he wasn't able to do it. He was not able to make that make that connection for the judge. And the judge denied her youthful offender status, which means that she's going to keep that felony as an adult for the rest of her life, because we don't have expungement provisions here in New York. And so it hurt me because, you know, I grew up in a rough neighborhood, and on a time or two, I was not the smartest girl in the group of guys, you know, and but for, you know, the grace of God go I. And had it not been for the opportunities I have been given over and over again, I wouldn't be in a position to save lives. So it hurts. It hurts. It hurts when you witness stuff like that. And there's really nothing that you can do.
Right. Yeah. So have you heard anything concerning her since?
No, I haven't, but I did have a few people reach out to me, seeing if an offering to pay for her appeal. So I've given people, you know, the information that I had, see if they would follow up on that. But at least, you know, people are interested in helping her. So hopefully, you know, they will help her.
Indeed. So it brings me to another question. A brother asked to ask me to ask you, are you an officer of the court?
Yes, I am.
And what does that entail?
That means that I have certain standards, and I'm bound to tell the truth, to uphold the Constitution. I've taken an oath to uphold the Constitution, and as such, I am an officer of the court, meaning that I get a particular deference in the words that I speak, because I've passed the test. I'm qualified. My character has been checked and challenged, and I've been found to be worthy, right? And so I get a little more than the average Joe. But all attorneys are officers of the court, so we're just bound by a certain standard, by a certain moral code of conduct, by a moral code of professionalism. So that's pretty much what that means.
All right. I hope y'all got that. I hope y'all got that. Let me see if anybody in the chat coming up with some of this stuff I'm not even going to chest, like Issa Almighty, with all due respect. As you talking about status correction, brother, proclaim you not black and keep it moving. I mean, come on now. We got to get out of that state of mind that somebody is going to validate and define who we are with some stamp of approval. Be who you are and keep it moving. I don't get this part. Well, that's a different conversation, but in the Moorish paradigm, for some reason, some of these Moors think that they have to fill out all of this paperwork and flood somebody with the paperwork to show them and show and prove that they're not black. Just say you're not and keep it moving. And you know, if you want to change your documentation, your birth certificate, it's your right. Go change it.
Sorry.
So what's the point? They make something so simple so difficult. I don't understand that. You know, we haven't got one more school to build built on the ground to raise our children Moorish, but we sitting in courthouses fighting about if we black or not. That don't make no sense to me. That's kind of backwards, if you ask me. So my brother Kansu, as I was saying, he said, you never showed your license to practice law. Bam, Kansu, that one is gone, brother. I wish I could ball it up and throw it, but I got other questions on it. He said, law is the common right of people and not exclusive prerogative of private gold association called the bar. Of course, you got self-representation. That's not really nothing that nobody know. Everybody know you can represent yourself. We're just saying it's not a good decision if you haven't been trained. That's right. All.
Colin Ferguson.
Yeah, it say if you stay in proprio persona, sur juris, you would not need a third-party advocate to resolve your personal affairs. There are over 68 million people in America with criminal records, and one thing in common with those cases was the fact that they all had bar attorneys representing them. This is just foolish, frivolous craziness.
Colin Ferguson didn't have he represented himself. He's got a criminal conviction. Remember, he was the one who shot all those people on the Long Island Railroad? Then he represented himself, like walking up, you know, when he has to cross-examine the people he shot. He's like, you sure it was me? You sure I shot you? I mean, you know, it's comedy in the courtroom if you want to do it. Those of us who actually know what we're doing in court, we loathe you. You just waste court time. valuable court time.
And this is a waste too, but I'll say it anyway. This person, Eastside 4401, says courts don't have jurisdiction over American people, especially over victimless crimes.
Okay.
But
Okay.
This is so funny to me. If somebody came over here and was a national of another country, I'm not talking about these Moorish nationals.
Right.
I'm talking about a real national, not this made up stuff.
Right.
A real national from, say, France.
Mm-hmm.
And they came over here and they broke any type of law.
Right.
They're going to answer to it.
Right.
Why do they think that because they have some privilege? That's just a rhetorical question.
You remember Strauss Claude, whatever the hell his name is. He was the IMF guy, and he was accused of sexually abusing the maid here in New York.
Oh yeah.
I mean, eventually they were dismissed it, but they was going to charge him. He could have been charged. They were investigating. Unless you have immunity, right? And some diplomats do have immunity. But that doesn't get you off the hook. That just means that they send you back to your country where you'll be punished according to their standards and their rules. As a Moorish national, if you're a Moorish national, you claim that you have some sort of diplomatic immunity, then are you going to go back to Morocco so you could be punished for the bull stuff you did? For the stuff I don't know. You go right? Because that's what would be required.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of my questions is, when people say that they are a Moorish national, one of my questions is, what constitution do you have a connection to? What national boundary are you defined by? You know, what borders are you defined by? And I get crickets. You know what I mean? Because Moorish science is not even predicated upon that for real. You know what I mean? The Moorish American, it has nothing to do with that. But anyway, back to the conversation. What do you when somebody says something like this Fred Floyd Godfrey, he says, you work for the enemy. Well, I don't understand why people don't see this. How do you, I'm gonna try to see if you can see, because you probably didn't heard all of this stuff a million and one times. How do you put it together that makes sense out you're working for the enemy? If you're a defense attorney trying to get people, let me tell you this. Let me say this. How many people have avoided prison, major sentences? Can you give us a few examples before you even discuss?
Sure, you could peruse. I can send you a couple links. Last year, around this time, actually maybe a week prior, this time last year, had a 16-year-old girl who had been charged with manslaughter. Some girls had come to her house to fight her, and one of the girls that came to her house to fight her ended up with a stab wound in her back. Her lung collapsed and she passed away. She drowned in her blood. They arrested my client. She was 16 years old. She was charged as an adult. Her family posted a ridiculous amount of bail to get her out. 2 years later, we went to trial. She was acquitted on all counts. Before trial, the offer was 16 years. It wasn't like we went to trial because she didn't want to take probation. They were trying to take her life. 2 years prior to that, I had a young man who had been arrested for a murder that had happened 2 years prior to his arrest, that he confessed. He confessed fully. He wrote a written confession because the police told him, you have a self-defense claim, just tell us it happened this way. We'll give you the narrative. You give it back to us. We'll speak to the DA. It'll be all good. He signed the confession that he wrote some of and they wrote some of. And we went to trial with a confession. The offer on the table at the time was 20 years. It was a gamble because he confessed. Most people think that if you confess to a crime, you did it. It's one of the hardest things to overcome in the law. As a defense attorney, he was acquitted on all counts. Before that, there was a young man in another county. He had been arrested for the murder of a 17-year-old guy that they claimed that he was having a gun battle with. There were 2 eyewitnesses that came in and pretty much just bold-faced lied because they were getting deals from the prosecutor for some prior arrests that they had. So they were willing to say whatever. But it was clear that they were lying once I cross-examined them. And he was acquitted of all counts. The offer before trial was 25. And so none of them have been rearrested. They all are working, doing well. One had a baby. The girl is pregnant. She's having a baby shower next month. Before that, there was I mean, I could do this all day.
Indeed.
Literally all day. I'm not kidding you. Like, I don't make this stuff up. You could just have a show where I'll sit there, let people call you and tell you what I've done for them, right? Because it's you know, I'm not chalking it up anywhere, because it's not about stats for me. My purpose is to make a difference in someone's lives, and if I can do that, then I'm fulfilling my purpose. I'm fulfilling that.
Indeed. A brother that's a member of my temple just typed in that asked her about affirmative defense, confession, and avoidance is what I think he misspelled a couple of things or typed too fast. Used to fight a case. You ever heard anything like that?
Affirmative, well, those are different things. So affirmative defense is pretty much when you have either some sort of justification for why you committed the crime, like self-defense or defense of a third person or something like that, or you can challenge some element in the crime that shouldn't be a crime, right? So you might have an affirmative defense. You might have a self-defense claim. That's what that is. That's just a way that you challenge the charges against you. Those are different types of defense theories. Sister, they're not available to everyone, though.
Have you ever heard the idea that the only true power is with the federal court, and that the judge need to have a delegation of authority?
No.
And you just killed it.
No.
Because it's this common idea that they go to the judges with this mess and still end up getting locked up.
Just tell them that, but you know, judge after judge has written decisions on this, and I don't know what more they need to hear and how many more decisions they need to understand. It just, none of what they say makes sense. It just doesn't. Each state is sovereign. So the state government has nothing to do with the federal government necessarily. And so if you go in the state court and you get adjudicated, you could also be prosecuted by a federal court because it's a sovereign entity, right? So you wouldn't even have double jeopardy protection in that regard, because that's just how protective we are of the sanctity of sovereignty.
I'm telling
you, this delegation of authority is just it's nonsense.
And I mean, you can see case after case where they pay it no mind. They like whatever.
Right, they don't, but some of them speak to it. I've seen decisions where some judges have spoken to it. We don't recognize you to be included in that group, even if we recognize the treaty of friendship and goodwill, whatever it is. Even if I've forgotten by now, I've purged this from my head. But if they did recognize it, they wouldn't recognize you, sir, Bay or L, as someone who is a part of that group.
That's
and
right.
So, you know, you back to where you started. The only other thing I saw somebody post something. You know, they're really big on this whole straw name concept, right? You don't go into your name, right? Don't use your name, and because that will confer jurisdiction, which is ridiculous. Jurisdiction is conferred by your presence, your body being there, right? Think about that for a second. If jurisdiction didn't require your presence, then they could get jurisdiction just simply by putting your name on a piece of paper and putting it in court. That's not how it's done. You actually have to appear for there to be jurisdiction. Is not just about your name. So that's just a flawed reasoning all around.
Well, what happened is just probably a month ago, brothers got mad at me because I did a show because a brother showed up in court and said it wasn't him on the paper, and the people looking at him like he's crazy, like you are him. And he tried to pull away from him. He said, "No, I'm such and such. I'm in for person of something that Todd said to him or he seen online? Should they wrestle him down and his fans went one way and he went the other way? Such an embarrassment. And that's why in that same song, I said, Moore's getting beat up in the hallway. The king crown is on the ground. It's going to be a long day. How your feds be on the, this represents royalty. And you going in there representing foolishness. Your feds is on the ground. I see this. I said, good go. And that's why in that same song, I said, make me want to cry. I can't deny it. Because ain't no way in the world you have been misled to the point where you got somebody wrestling you to the ground. And what this represents is laying one side and you on the other side. That's the result of your best thinking.
That's tragic. That's tragic.
Oh my goodness. So I got a brother that he has some questions. I'm going to give him the number. I think this brother is and since I really appreciate you taking your time, let me say something to y'all. This sister is a well qualified legal attorney taking her time out on a YouTube platform to inform you of what's real and what's fantasy.
Because when I say I love you, I really do. I mean it. And my actions match my words. So I'll give my people time. I'll give them time.
You know, this sister, you know, everybody know attorneys get that big paper. You know what I mean? $100 an hour, $200 an hour, whatever they want to charge, whatever
$350 an hour. I charge $350 an hour.
And you take your time on a YouTube platform to speak to some of the most ridiculous things, but and
I want to let me take a second to shout out the brother Ali Bey, because
that's right.
There are a lot of platforms that I'm invited to, right? And I can't respond to them all, but I will say this: I'm not hesitant to come here because I know that I'll be protected. I know that I'll be protected. That king will protect me. And I'm saying that publicly because he has done so. And I want to thank him publicly for making me feel comfortable enough to come here and share. So salute to that king.
Indeed. And shout out to Ali Bey, because if it wasn't for Ali Bey, we wouldn't even know each other.
Right, exactly.
You know what you did, Ali Bey? You did this time. You did. But the point of the matter is, you know, you can draw a nice income by going over some cases tonight that
sure.
you might have to deal with tomorrow. But you take time out to do that. The problem is that we as a group of people need to understand that some things just don't have to happen. You don't have to be here, you know. And from the Moorish perspective, I try to preserve the true and living teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali that had nothing to do with this stuff that they are putting people's lives in danger with. You know, although we may look at, like, I can pull up another question real quick. It says, how does the legislator has the power to abrogate the citizens' right to travel on the road?
Okay.
By passing legislation forcing the citizens to waive the right to convert that right into a privilege. Whatever that is. You feel me?
I understand what they're saying. But let's just go back to sovereignty again, right? Every state has the same 3 branches of government that our federal government has. This is high school civics, but if we need to go there, we need to go there. Okay, right? So the legislative branch is charged with making the laws. The legislature, as are all the branches of government, are empowered by the state constitution, as is the federal government is empowered by the federal constitution. And so legislators have their power and authority from a state constitution to enact laws that are beneficial for all the citizens, right? And they have, listen, it's not like there always was the same regulation. This is a progression. You didn't, first of all, I think somebody said, well, when the natives, this made me fall out. when the Europeans came here, right? Did the Native Americans have driver's license?
So you see how crazy that is?
Huh?
They asked the European. The question it was: did the Native American ask the European for permission to drive with driver's license? Something to that degree.
Right, but wait. I was sitting there going, "Did I lose you? You can hear me?"
I'm with you.
Oh, I hear. Yeah, I'm sitting there going, "Wait, so this presumes that there were cars at this time and paved roads and come on, man. This is ridiculous."
That blows me away. That blows me away with somebody.
Come on. So I say that to say that the laws that we have today are a progression, right? When you were a kid, did the cars have seatbelts? No, they didn't have seatbelts because it wasn't an issue then. It wasn't an issue like it is now. But as cars became smaller and faster and roads started to change, it became necessary because people started crashing more. And so regulation comes in and the government is charged with their charge is to protect people. And so to make sure that you are qualified to drive on the road, you have to pass a test. And you have to take an exam, just like you would be to do just about anything else here, right? And so you have to jump through those hoops because they have the right to regulate the roads. And quite frankly, I don't want you on the road if you haven't met the minimum requirements, because you then are a danger to me. That means that you probably are driving not only without a license, but you don't have any insurance.
That's right.
So if you hit me, I'm gonna be butt out. I want to say something else, but I promise not to curse too much on this show. You know I like to curse, right? But because if you hit me and you hurt me, I have no recourse and I have no means of recompense. So I don't want you on the road.
That's right. That's right. Because if you hit my Dodge Charger, I'm telling you, I went from the bus and all that type of stuff 10 years ago to a couple cars, and I feel a little good about myself. You hit my Dodge Charger, I need them rims.
And I brought this up before about the same issue, because as much as you don't want to have a driver's license and things of that nature, and you don't want to be within the jurisdiction of the court, if you get hit by a car, aren't you going to sue?
Absolutely.
Of course you're going to sue. You're going to willfully go into that jurisdiction with your straw name and you're going to get that paper. So stop fronting. Stop playing. I'm tired of it. I can't take it anymore. It's sickening. It's downright sickening.
So we got somebody on the phone. Who's on that phone? Where you calling from, brother?
Calling from Georgia. This is Tariq Bey.
How you doing, Tariq Bey? Don't sound so mean. This Moorish World TV. We love you, brother.
Yeah, it's all love, man. It's been a little long day. It's all good, though.
Islam, my brother. Let me make sure this is. Can you hear him, sis?
I hear him.
Okay, my brother. The floor is yours. Come on with it.
All right, I appreciate it. First and foremost, I had the question about her being an officer of the court. She answered the first half, but the second half, because being an officer of the court is the first duty. Now, do you agree? From what I've studied, I've seen the first duty of the officer of the court is to the court, not the client or to the people that he or she may be representing.
No, that's not true. My first duty is to my client.
And see, brother, but what qualifies, and I'm just simply asking, because some of these questions that we ask it comes from somebody passing it down, saying it, or we read it somewhere. But what represents the qualification that her duty is to the court? Like, is there a written law that somebody can research? Because if I was to come with the system question in opposition of what she stands for, I say, well, right here and such and it says right here. I wouldn't just randomly say it like that because I want to be right. I really do.
Give me a source. I'm all for sources. That's part of being an attorney requires empirical evidence.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I feel about Moorish science. When people talk Moorish science, I need to see exactly what you're talking about. If you can't show me, I don't even take when people say the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said in the the statements in the what they would call it, the oral statements. I don't even take that because that's hearsay. Show me some words.
I've seen people try to show me things, and when they show it to me and I explain it, then they go, "Oh, I didn't understand that." Because you don't have the capacity to understand some things if you don't have that training and education and experience. And so you might think something means something because you're reading it off of its face, but it doesn't mean what you think it means. And so brother Tariq Bey, no, my allegiance is always to my client. That's true whether he is the person paying or there's a third party paying. That's always the case. I'm not sure if you might be referring to in an instance where say my client says, "Listen, I did it, but I'm a lie. Put me on a stand and I'm a lie and say something else." No, we're not. As an officer of the court, I'm not allowed to suborn perjury, right? But that doesn't mean that I don't have an allegiance to my client. That means that I'm not going to be a party to no nonsense. Okay. So I'm if that's where you're going, I hope that explains that.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
I kind of thought that.
Maybe not necessarily to that extreme, but
right. But I know, typically that's what follows that question.
Allegiance to the court. It's not strictly to the client.
No,
yeah, you got to play by the rules of the court, basically. I mean,
right. I'm not allowed to defraud the court. I cannot be a party. I can't. That's a crime. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. I don't want to commit a crime anyway. So if there's no attorney has an allegiance to a client that requires them to engage in criminal activity or immoral activity, even. Right? I mean, I'm coming to your job asking you to give me free stuff, right? Or whatever it is, right? You at your job, you don't compromise your integrity at work by doing something that's illegal because somebody asked you who you have an allegiance to.
You got that? You good? All right. I appreciate it. Anybody else want to call in? It's free to call in. You ain't got to send a donation. I take donation. No, I'm just playing. we gotta pay this attorney to get on this show.
Don't tell no lies. Don't make people think I'm here.
I'm just playing. So I got. Let me see. I got another. This brother says. Open. I guess you just really answer that. Ask her, do she uphold her oath of office? Of course you do. How can you be a pillar to them? Oh, so
you presume you oath of office. I'm not the president. What oath of office? Did I ever say I took an oath of office? See, you have to pay attention to words. I didn't say I took an oath of office. I took an oath. I took a constitutional oath. I took an oath to uphold the Constitution.
Indeed. And so the second question was, how can she be a pillar to the Moorish plight? Again, Moorish Americans during the Prophet time had attorneys. The Prophet had attorneys. They wasn't necessarily members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Of course, the Prophet Noble Ali attorney was a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Yet, after the Prophet Noble Ali passed form, that attorney, Aaron Payne, went on about his business and did a whole bunch of magnificent things. He actually joined the NAACP, which we are adversely, we ain't really with the NAACP because we ain't rocking with that color degree and founded by a European Jew. That's not our thing, but that's what he did. When you look at the case with Crummy Bay in Pittsburgh, he had attorneys on retainer. So if you ask me what can her pillar to the Moorish plight be, family, get in trouble. And she can show you. No, I don't want you to get in trouble. I'm saying that if you was in a situation, I don't believe this sister would be looking at you and saying, "Oh, you Moorish. I'm not dealing with that." I think the sister would give you an ear. And if you're making sense and if you're able to play by the rules to try to get you up out of this situation without the shenanigans, that's how she adds to the Moorish plight. Because in at the end of the day, we all want people just separated by ideology or tribal constraints, if that's what we put on ourselves. I don't do that. I know all my people. That's just what it is. So we got the phone lines open for the next call. Let me put the phone line in here. I'm gonna take 15 more minutes with the sister because I don't want to hold up. I just wanted to bring the sister back because I've seen a lot of these sovereign Moors on the post. Sister, your video that you did with me, the live stream that you did with me, I don't know if you go back and check it out. You probably don't because you're so busy, but that video is like super popular. And through that video, it just, I mean, people just had all sorts of comments about you. I mean, it still comes up to this day. I can screenshot right now. You probably got some comments today. Matter of fact, let me screenshot this. Watch this. That video is pretty popular. Let me see. So that's what made me reach out. Just I gotta get my sister back on here. So look, even today, 6 hours ago. Can you see that? 6 hours ago, filing papers for your sovereignty, but that's probably not against you or something like this.
Which
You lying? That this is 6 hours ago.
That's disheartening.
But they would never say what you're lying about.
Right, I know.
They believe I woke up to this crocked. You know what I mean? But a lot of this stuff, they have nothing to stand on. But what I'm saying is, reading is fundamental. The Constitution is supreme law of the land. Read. No lawyer necessary. And see, a lot of these arguments doesn't even make sense.
They don't.
1 second. Let me get this real quick. Islam? 1 second, my brother. Let me get you on speaker real quick. I appreciate you calling, but I'm a little bit technically challenged. Let me tell you what happened. I went and got me an iPhone, right? I'm an Android guy, right? And so I messed around and went and got me an iPhone a few weeks ago, and I'm a little clueless. So you got to work with me. Give me a minute. I done messed up on something. Let me see. I need to get to the speaker section. There we go. Hold up. See, somebody else calling in. All right, if you're calling in, hold on. Hold on, Columbus, Ohio. Hold on. Let me get this brother on speaker real quick. I'm telling you, I'm a little bit technically challenged. So hold on. As a matter of fact, Islam family. I got you. I got jail phone over here. You got to press 1. All that stuff. Anyway, 1 second. Islam family. Hold tight real quick. Don't move. So let me get the other one. Who's this? Root Words?
Yes, sir.
Uh-oh, hey, Root Words. Don't you come up here talking to my sister with that talk now.
No, I don't want to get beat up now. Now, come on now.
Hey, Root Words. Hey, Root Words. What you say, Root Words?
Yeah, Moors, you ain't gonna be disrespecting women around the Moors for real. Any one of them, all of them respect the women. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Root Words.
If you want to keep going on that story, I certainly will.
No, brother, because I know you'll go in. I appreciate you calling, brother. I know you're a Taj Tariqite, but I like you. Matter of fact, I love you. Let me say, I ain't no homosexual, ain't no sissy, but I love you. Because, brother, you are real to yourself. And I honor anybody who is to thyself be true. And I honor you for that. And you got enough courage to come on the platform and not only to ask your questions, speak your opinion, and to be respectful at that. So I appreciate you, brother. So the floor is yours. Come on with it, brother.
Man, you know what, man? Here's a lot more beautiful lady. You keep it up, beautiful.
Thank you.
Hold up, Root Words. Now we beefing. Hey, Root Words, now we beefing. All right?
I'm out of here, man. Here's a lot more.
So, brother, what you want to bring to the table, brother?
You hung up.
He said, man, come on, Root Words. Hey, Root Words, I'm just playing. I'll tell you what, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I I just wanted to, that story you told about that sister really touched me. I watched that show. I was driving, and when you go live, it comes on and you goes in. And I was driving. Because I do work. You know what I mean? I can't sell UCs and stuff. I do real work. So when I seen that really touched my heart in such a way, and I was like, man, you know, this sister, Islam family, Islam. I said, this sister, this root words. It's fine, my brother. Give me a second. But I said, man, this sister is a real jewel in our community, because when you was talking, sister, I'm that person too that people counted out.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? I started a business. I don't even advertise my business online. I'm all right. But I started a business just from an idea. And I've been in business for 10 years. Had nothing to do with taking advantage of people, had nothing to do with manipulating people. It had something to do with hard work, ingenuity. And like I said, I've never been really trained to do what I do, but I do it good. And but I was counted out. Since I was counted out 10 years ago, my mother had to buy me groceries as I was renting a room. And I said, man, what am I doing? I got all this information, and what am I doing? 10 years later, I done purchased 2 houses and other things. And it's not all about the material things. But what it's about is the discipline and the being obedient to that inner voice to say, I can do better than this. And so that's why I do what I do. But anyway, with that, you inspired me with that, sis, because you remind me of myself when, like you said, people counted you out.
Right.
And they counted that sister out.
Right.
But I was counted out too. My mother called me last week. I did a live stream from the virtual temple online, and my mother called me. She almost tears in her eyes because she heard me demonstrating the teaching of the Prophet Noble Ali, and she said to me, she said, I'm so proud of you. She said, I was waiting for the call to say that somebody tell me that you was dead or you killed somebody and it'll been all over. But now God has saved you for something. You know, and she said, I said, Ma, how much you watched that on the show? On my page. She said, I watched the whole thing, and I am so proud of you. But for that alone, it's worth the turnaround, and it's worth for me to sacrifice to help somebody else turn around. So, sister, you re-inspired me when I seen that video, because I was you just like you or me. So with that, and I ain't gonna get emotional because I cried too. Now, who's gonna do something? But anyway, brother, the floor is yours, brother. Come on in.
Hello?
You got to turn down the TV, brother. You like to hear yourself on the radio. That's what some people like. I used to do that too. But I can hear the echo in the background. I can hear my big mouth, brother. But the floor is yours, brother. And you in DC, so we got to be friends. There we go, brother.
No. I'm moving away from it. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well. Now, you know you in DC, so we got to be good.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm just going to tell you this. Just recently, I had a court case where the police pulled me over. They pulled me over. As a matter of fact, I'm about to get ready and file a couple of lawsuits against them personally myself. I don't have anything against brothers that, Tariq Tajbeh is a good man. He does come with words that are knowledge. I can say personally from going to the Library of Congress. Personally, from reading actual law. Anything I give you, United States Code-wise, I can give you stuff. I'm not mad at the sister for being an attorney if that's what she wants to believe. I mean, cool. I've read the actual 1950 letters from Congress, the 81st Congress, where they said about the Lawyers Guild and them being communistic. And actuality from in past and in present, you can look it up. This ain't what we saying. I mean, I go to the Library of Congress and the National Archives. That's the only place I get my law. Police pulled me over on my bike. As a matter of fact, let me give you an example since you're 443 out Baltimore. And I used to have a house right there on Wrightstown Road off of Ballard Avenue, right down the street from the Temple. I live less than 2 blocks away from the Temple on Wrightstown Road in West Baltimore. My address was 2914 Ballard Avenue. And I just had the police last week pull me over in front of Howard University Hospital, directly less than a block away from Howard University. I got in a car accident with my car right there on Georgia Avenue. My license was suspended and the tags was expired. And I can go right now on video face chat if you want to let you see the car that's crashed out in my backyard. And I live right here by the DC Maryland line. So once I got in the accident, police came. I explained to the police officer, 12 Supreme Court ruling cases that I have a right to travel. Showed them the license. He told me I wasn't supposed to drive the car on public road. Drove the car all the way to Adams Morgan. From Adams Morgan, I drove it to my house. Drove it in my backyard early in the morning. I had to back it out. That's when the axle snapped. You understand me? I'm just telling you some real stuff. So I had to go get the parts. I have a buddy of mine that works at Parts Authority. From my buddy having the parts at Parts Authority, I was riding my moped all the way, which moped in the District of Columbia, you do not have to register. Nothing personal. Yes, in real life, you can look in the Black's Law Dictionary. It does say that the District of Columbia is a federal corporation. And we know that a federal corporation in real life is not, there's a difference between the word government. No different than having a governor on the transmission.
Can I interject real quick? And then brother, let me interject real quick.
Hold on, and look, let me explain something else to you. I just Friday came out from being committed to a hospital because going off on the police for snatching me off my bike. But they still have my bike. I drove my car all the way to Southwest, which my tags on the truck, my foot edge, is dead. The police actually went and gave me my property back. I was walking to the truck, putting my stuff in there, had the police jump out on me right there on South Capitol and M Street, Southwest DC. And I can validate this. I went and quoted the law to the police, and I got it recorded. I can actually send it and upload the video to you.
What is? Can I just wait? Can I just what's the point in this? Where is this going? Because what I don't have time is to listen to your personal story. Everybody has a story. Do you have a question for me?
Turned around, hurried up, and walked away from me.
Hey, bro,
so I can tell you what I know about the law.
Listen,
I know how.
I want to know what you know about the law. I don't care what you know about the law. With all due respect, I'm here giving my time, and everybody has a situation. Everybody has one. You're not unique in that regard.
Not like that. When I wasn't convicted of a crime.
Hey, brother, hold up. You more or less venting as opposed to asking a question.
No. I'm actually coming and quoting law. I can give you any law that you
Listen to what I'm saying. Listen, brother, let me tell you something. Brother, one thing right here on Moorish World TV, let me say this, brother, and don't cut me off, please. Right. One thing here on Moorish World TV, brother, we know sometimes you can walk away from those incidents. I can bring Brother Sharif Bey on here, Ishmael Bey on here, can show you how they walked out of courtrooms, how they beat many of these things. But today they will tell you the reason why they did it, because most of the times those people who they were confronting, they didn't know as much as they knew. But today,
of course,
but today it can still happen. That doesn't make it legitimate.
Hold on, what do you mean it don't? Hold on, let me explain.
Just because a police officer let you walk away, brother.
I filed a motion with the courts, and it was correct. First of all federal charges, I'm not disputing the lady that's an attorney, but all federal charges, you feel what I'm saying, in the District of Columbia, in order to make the law, we have to make it via the Constitution, brother. Nothing personal. Congress passes all laws in the District of Columbia.
Okay. Congress. But do you have any questions?
I can't speak Virginia, but I can speak of the code of the District of Columbia. I know that.
Okay.
I was literally in the feds. I literally was on parole. I literally argued jurisdiction where.
Hey, brother, let me ask you a question. I think
it's a lot of stuff.
Brother,
he needs his own radio show. This is not why I'm here.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. Then we go to the next person. Hey, brother.
Sure.
What made you enforce your right to travel? Did you lose your license?
Enforce my right to travel?
Yeah, did you lose your license?
And I have insurance on both my vehicles. They have insurance.
Listen to me.
We don't use their tags.
I'm asking you a question. Did you ever lose your license or have problem with your license anytime?
Yeah, well, it wasn't even that. But
no, I'm asking. I'm asking. Have you ever had a driver's license?
Yes, I've had a driver's license.
And what was the result? Because obviously you was about to say yes. So did you ever lose your driver's license?
I've had a driver's license before. I'm not going to sit there and deny that. Yes, I've had a driver's license.
Did you ever lose them?
I've had my license suspended. But
okay, that's usually what it is.
License is a privilege.
All right, let me get another caller in, brother. Brother, you can come on the show. We can go toe to toe with it, but let's get another caller.
Okay,
Peace and love. I wasn't hanging up on the brother, but the thing is, the brother was venting because he had survived a couple encounters without having a license. But that doesn't make it legitimate. I'm telling you, I've drove without a license here in Baltimore, and this was years ago. And I got pulled over, and the police officer just looked at me and said, I told him I didn't have no license. He said, get off the street. He was too busy worrying about who was shooting down the street to be worried about me. He wanted me to just get up out of there. But I never demonstrated a right to travel anyway. So these things happen, and it can happen on a frequent basis. But all it takes is one time for they take you for a sovereign citizen and bust you in your head and put that gun on you and end up like Curran Gaines. That's all it takes is one time. So with that, I'm not going to hold the sister too much longer. Let me see if anybody else have anything to say. Now, listen, I done brought the sister all the way here. I ain't bring her here to look at it. I'll tell you, I'm going to leave that alone. Anyway, let's see if anybody they don't want it with the Moors who are thorough. They want it with scary Moors who give up their lunch money. See what I'm saying? You know what's funny to me? And then I'll let the sister close out. What's funny to me is that I'd like to deal with a universal way of doing things. And when I say a universal way of doing things, if it's good for me, it's good for my 16-year-old son. I have a 16-year-old son. He wants to drive. Now, would it be the right thing to do to say, you know what? I'm going to go online to RV Bay Publications. I'm going to grab this right to travel card and said, son, we have been driving in the parking lot for 3 days. Take this card, hit the road. If they pull you over, you make sure you do one thing. You ask them for a delegation of authority. And if they don't have a delegation of authority, you resist until they give up, and then you hit the road. Do I tell my 16-year-old that? No, I don't tell my 16-year-old that, because I know, and you know, you wouldn't tell your 16-year-old that, even if you demonstrate that. So that right there show you off the break that that's not to be played with. Brilliant point blank. But anything you like to, sister, I appreciate you. What you did today, you might say, whoa, we got some, but you I don't think that. You done seen a lot of weird stuff. So I just wanted to bring you to the show to try to clear up some of these basic, they very, very basic questions.
Right.
And they don't hold no weight. But every time I turn around, your video come up and it's another comment, and a lot of them are people that know better. And you can tell they know better because they're not bringing any sources. They're not bringing any feedback. They calling some names. They do that to me all the time. They calling some names. Yeah, but they ain't giving no feedback and no sources. So, bro, sister, I appreciate you for coming on, taking the time. And next time, I want you to see if we can do a show about health and fitness. Sis, you're still working out, sis.
Yes.
Hey, sis, I'm not playing, sis. I want you to come in here and see. Can you dedicate maybe an hour and a half on that? Sis, let me tell you something.
Listen, I got one coming now. Well, it's about health and fitness, so that'd be perfect.
Can you inbox me soon as it come out so we can do a show on here?
Absolutely.
And we ain't talking about, we ain't facing none of this legal stuff unless I had to. Unless New York and one of them nationals run up on me. I run up on me. I know some stuff now. I'm good.
Right.
I would love for you to come on the show because we have reached a crisis in our community.
Yes.
Where in the summertime in Baltimore, the young sisters, they will wear half a shirt with everything out and don't care. Belly everywhere and don't care, waving it like they just don't care.
Oh, that is not where it's at.
Yeah, and as we get older,
right,
we can fall off too. But it's real bad when we see the younger generation.
Right.
That you know when you know that should be moving and naturally staying and fit, but they just out of order. And then the older generation, we get these chairs, we get them nice cars, and we just sit back and want to do this. So I think it'll be very good to do a health show. I got my guns right now. I got them right. I got them right. But sis, you got the real deal. So since anything you want to say in close, I'm gonna write this down on my notes. Next show with the sis.
Arthur, thank you. Well, thank you for having me. Always, it's a pleasure to be here. A pleasure and an honor and a privilege. I just want to say, you know, I'm always open to answering questions. I'm open to having the dialogue, having the conversation with those who are also open, because it becomes a repetitive nightmare for someone like the caller to simply attempt to regurgitate all the information they have as if the information they have will somehow overload and supersede the information that I have. And that's not how it works, right? I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. I'm just not. I have information. If you want it, you can have it. If you don't, that's fine too. As far as the hate, I move on the frequency of love. And if you don't, I have no use for you. Most people won't. And so anyone who comes for me on a frequency on anything other than love energy,
that's right.
You showing who you are. You showing your true self. And so, you know, be careful about how you do that. Be careful about how you move, because Ike, I love you. I really do.
Peace and love. I appreciate you. Hey, sis, I'm telling you, inbox me. Now, I'm telling you what's going to happen. If I see that book and you promote it on Facebook, and
no, I'm going to let you know.
I'm all on your page. Because seriously, you know, sisters need to understand that ain't cool letting yourself go. I mean, especially our long sisters. I need the older sisters too, but the young sisters, it look real bad when you see the young sisters. And they really think that it's okay. And then the brothers,
they're not helping none. They have a role. You all have a role. Yes, you do. We can talk about that too, right?
I appreciate you, sis. I don't want to hold you up any longer. I definitely appreciate you. That's all I can say about that. I'm coming to New York soon. I'm going to inbox you when I come to New York. Hopefully we can sit down. You can find some time. I'm coming at this. Are you going to be at the Sinetta TV Awards?
I am. I was nominated.
Oh, up the boogie. Up the boogie.
I will be there in July. I'm going to be on side probably next week, Tuesday.
Okay, I got to call him soon. Me and him, we've been getting along lately.
Good. We got to get along. You know, I spoke to him yesterday and I said it's that very thing. You know, if we position ourselves to be leaders in this community, then we need to do better and we need to get along. Even if we have different ideologies, that shouldn't be the thing that separates us. We have a common enemy.
Absolutely.
Our focus. Why can't that be our focus? That we have a common enemy, and that's all. That's all. So yeah, so I should be on side soon, and I will be at the award show. So if you're gonna be there, I'll see you, brother.
Absolutely. And I'm definitely proud of Sai right now. Sai turned that thing around. Sai used to be ratchet.
Yeah.
Sai turned that thing around. Things looking good over there. So I'm definitely going to be in attendance. The Moors coming with me. We going to be deep. We going to be deep. Fans on deck. I'm going to have a cape on with the fur on. Now I'm playing. But peace and love, sis. I appreciate you. Hey, sis. I want to share something with you. Let me share something with you. Let me share something with you before you go. Let me tell you what this. Allah sent me a queen, you know what I'm saying? But this is what I used to say. This is what I used to say. Some people think about that. This is how I'm going to go out with y'all. Stay with me, sis. Let me take them home with this.
Okay.
And to be loved as no one. Check it out, sis. Never thirsty girl. What they going to do with this? Bring love into my world, yes. I need to belong to someone.
Where you at, queen? Don't make me chase you. If I get you with my arms and my heart in space, you see it's a real king, so then fight you me. I want to speak to your heart, from my heart you better love me. Just a secret blessing, but I prefer dresses. Serving rappers on your head and make dresses. Yeah, you love to be us. I want to teach you lessons. I want to travel with your mind back to the essence. When things are made of thought, and we can manifest that. But first you must attack that black. That's better just that. But now we won't stress that. Let's move to perfection. Let me be your angel. me take you. I just want to take you from black to Moorish.
I appreciate you, sis.
Peace.
Love, sis. Thank you again.
Let me take you from black to Moorish. A long way back, compared no matter how many days.
What's up? Islam family, Islam family. I want to give a special shout out to my sister in closing. That sister is a good friend of the Moorish World TV platform. She comes on the show at the drop of a call, a dime, and we got to respect that. When we look at attorneys and we look at lawyers, we look at like going to the doctor. And matter of fact, there's an article in the Moorish Guide talking about that. When you go to the doctor, you want to make sure if you go into the hospital that the doctor is qualified. You don't want the janitor pulling out your intestines. You don't want the janitor doing an operation on your heart. You don't want the cabinet maker to representing you in court. That doesn't make sense. You want a qualified person to represent you in court. And this was the reason that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali had 2 attorneys. This is the reason that Crummy Bay had an attorney on call. You know, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You want somebody who is qualified. I'm not qualified to dance around the courtroom. That's not my thing. You know, to my brother Campbell Method, this is the reason why we got to raise our children to be the doctors. Campbell Method, instead of complaining about the doctors being practiced on you, we got to take a chance because our people are not conscious in the operating room. So we got to raise our children to be doctors. We got to raise our children to be attorneys. We got to raise our attorneys to be loyal to us. And then we can get somewhere instead of coming on platforms complaining. We got to raise our children within these professions to be loyal to their people. And then we'll be fine. But the moment that we continue to demonize something that actually can help us, can help liberate us, we'll be fine. But we keep demonizing something, and therefore we're not working on the things that we could be doing at home on the home front. What are we raising our children to be? That's the question. But we demonize a sister that pulls herself out of poverty, pulls herself out the wretched life of New York City, stays focused for 8 years. Come on, man. Come on, man. Stays focused to the level of becoming an attorney well respected in our own community. This your community too. She represents a disenfranchised constituent that deserves honor. Our people are disenfranchised. If she coming there to represent the disenfranchised, and we're going to demonize her, that's insanity. What have you accomplished in life? How do you add to the whole of the goal? See, all of the energy spent on looking at what somebody else has done, what do you bring to the goal of what do you bring to the goal of the whole of the goal? What are you bringing to the table? Inbox me, tahakabear@yahoo.com. Show me what you're bringing to the table. How many people you got with you at the table? And what direction are you moving in? And what direction are you moving in? How many people at your table? What's the plan for the next 10 years? And what What direction are you moving in? It's very important. What direction are you moving in? What's the goal? If you can't tell me the goal or the direction that you're moving in, let me do this. 1 second. What's your goal? Where are we going at with this? You know what I mean? If you don't have a plan, how can you sit back and criticize? How can you sit back and criticize? The prophet said he had 3,000 Muslims. And this brother said it's more life or no life. Brother, that's cultish. The prophet Noble Ali said he had 3,000 Muslims. That's 3,000 people that's moving in one direction. In Chicago, yet there wasn't a building to hold 3,000 people. Could it be quite possible that some of those people supported the prophet, but they were not proclaimed Moorish American Muslims? I can show you where the kitchen workers, under the leadership of Pearl Drew Ali, many of them sisters was not members of the Moorish Science Temple of America or proclaimed members as it relates to having a BOL. But they was working towards a common goal. I showed you the attorney that represented Carmen Bay. He wasn't in a temple. I'm pretty sure that attorney wasn't in the temple. He was on retainer for a whole year. Well, we got to be careful. When you look at all the politicians, let me pull this up real quick. When you look at the politician, let's see this. I'm gonna knock this out the park real quick and I'm up out of here. Okay. Let me see. Here we go. Here we go. I'm gonna knock this out the park real quick and I'm out of here. We gotta get off of this coach, get off of this this cultish type stuff. But we becoming cultish, man, and don't even know it. We becoming super cultish. You know, we start, brother make a statement that it's either Moorish or nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I agree to a degree. How do you go and get your people with that concept? You know, how do you wake up your people with that concept? It's either Moorish or nothing. No flexibility. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna share this with you real quick. If we was moving in the sense of Moorish or nothing, and nothing else matters, then listen, I'm with you. I'm with you. But let me tell you something. First thing you're going to have to do is create some politicians. Because Anderson was a strong supporter of the Moorish Science Temple of America. A strong supporter of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Such a strong supporter that the Moors put their votes behind him by the word of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Yet, did Lewis B. Anderson have a BOL on his name? So if we start talking that talk more or nothing, then you better create some politicians. You better create some doctors, because if you get hit by a car today or tomorrow, God forbid, it may not be a more working on you. It may not be a more resuscitating you. So we can talk that talk if we want to. We can talk that talk if we want to. But if you're not working towards bringing in the common good for the common goal, then you better create some politicians. You better create some doctors. You better create some doctors. You better create some politicians. You better create some doctors. 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 You better create some creating politicians, creating lawyers, creating doctors, creating scientists, creating automobile. If we're not creating that, how you going to sit there and say it's either more or nothing? Do you die on the operating table because a more is not trying to resuscitate you? See, this is the sickness of our people, and we got to wake up out of it. We got to wake up out of it. The Prophet Noble Ali said, nothing. One thing we need more, and I'm paraphrasing, one thing we need more is religious tolerance. And I say we also need tolerance of indifference. We need tolerance of indifference. Everybody ain't going to agree with us. And I don't expect everybody to agree with me. Brother, I'm rambling, Hall. I'm rambling, brother. I'm rambling. I'm rambling, brother. This is not all about you, William Hall L. I'm rambling. Let me ramble a little bit. Even when we talk about I call them the Taj Tariqites, the Cujo L's and all that, I don't dislike them brothers. I simply disagree with them brothers. I don't dislike them. I simply disagree with them. They don't like me, and that's fine. I don't hate them. I simply disagree with them. That's it. I disagree because I have studied the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's lessons long enough, and to listen to that, it does not mesh properly. And I, again, will challenge anybody to come on the show that represents that Moorish national ideal, and I will represent the word of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I got tons of words of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I will represent the words of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We can put it side by side, and we can see who stands in the end. And I bite anybody for that. Anybody. Notice anybody that comes on my feed or on my line that says I'm wrong, they don't come with any information. And you know, I definitely don't hate you, Lord Abba. I never hated you, brother. I think you are one of the greatest scholars within the Moorish paradigm. I've been told you that. Nah, absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? I just think we had a disagreement. I never took it personal. Even when I was in the ATL, I said, brother, I'll come see you. You said you're going to peel my snakeskin back. I still love you, brother. It's all good, brother. I think we can work this out. You know what I mean? Nothing too heavy not to work out. You know what I'm saying? I just love the Prophet in the Moorish Science Temple of America. You know what I'm saying? I just let it profit in the Moorish Science Temple. Hey, Abba, I laid the videos up because I don't believe, brother. You can. All right, let me address Abba real quick. Abba, the videos that I have up, I don't believe that they are out of order. You need to show me. I asked you before. Show me where they are out of order, and I will consider taking them down. You got to remember, at that time, Grimion L, shout out to Grimion L. He was making videos. I was making videos. Brother, his videos was going just as hard, but I just got to allow them out. I'm a little bit more wittier. I'm just a little bit more wittier, Abba. That's it. It's not Abba. I'm just a little more wittier. That's it. And I'm a little more loud. So my videos just seem, brother, if I was sitting up there, well, you know, these brothers here, well, da-da-da-da, well, nobody paying no attention, but I'm just a little bit more wittier. It is what it is. Hold on. I got brother online. Let me see. Islam? Islam, brother. I'm still live. You got something you want to share, brother?
Oh no, I was trying to chop it up with you, but I'll call you back later.
There my brother there. I'm talking to Lord Abba. I'm talking to Lord Abba. Hey, no. What I'm saying is I'm a little wittier with the creativity, Abba. That's it. With the creativity of videos, you know, I remix it. I bring it back, come rewind. But it's not personal, Lord Abba. It's not personal, brother. I'm still waiting for you to come on the show with that debate you challenged me with. Let's talk about that. What about that debate, Abba, that you were supposed to send me the framework to talk about our little topics? What happened to that, Lord Abba? Now, you want to talk about something, brother? Brother. What's up with that, Abba? That's what I'm waiting for. That's right. Man, shout out to the family, man. Shout out to my brother, Gabriel Hernandez. representing 33 in the ATL. 300 gangsters in the building. Hey, Wolf, what it do, Wolf? Let me stop. Hey, that's my brother, Big Wolf, always on the ground. Always on the ground in Baltimore, man. He go by 300 gangsters, and but don't get it twisted. Yeah, he'll step to you like that. But on the real, he one of the ones on the ground feeding the people, serving the communities. Right here in Baltimore City, I've been busy this winter. He's been busy this winter. We ain't really touched bases, but we'll be touching bases soon. My brother Boone, hey, Wolf Boone called me the other day, and I couldn't call him back because I was busy, but I'm going to call him soon, brother. We on the ground this summer. It is what it is. That's my brother right there, man. Every time you see him, man, I tell you, let me tell you something. This is how Wolf get down, right? Check it out. I'm going to do my Wolf rendition. This is my Wolf rendition. We at this like I'm gonna tell a story. Like one day I'm gonna do this thing about telling stories. You know what I mean? One thing I'm gonna tell stories. I'm gonna just tell some of my experience. But okay, so 300 gangsters, they throwing this demonstration down near Payson Street in Baltimore in the hood, right? So I come down there to film, right? You know what I mean? To document it. So, you know, it's a nice turnout. So a couple people come up and demonstrate, you know what I mean? And then they give their piece, you know what I mean? A couple Europeans even in the building, you know what I mean? And they talk about neighborhood violence, right? So Big Wolf, he comes out there, right? Big Wolf like this, right? First, Boone speaks after Wolf. So Wolf comes out there, he's like, come on and speak. Boone comes up there, I got the camera rolling. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I whack everybody up in here. I take all y'all out just to save the children. Like, he didn't use that word because he went out. Basically, Wolf said, I'm taking everybody out. I ain't worrying about none of y'all. F y'all. It's all about the children. It's all about the children. That's it. I ain't got nothing else to say. I got the camera rolling like, man, I can't put that out. He's like, I'm the guy you come to when you got the problem with the police. I take care of that. But that brother Boots on the ground, man. Shout out to 300 gangsters, man. And that's how he rolled, man. That's just how he rolled. I remember another story. He was down the projects. I'm riding around with my work truck. He got the tint on his windows. I'm saying to myself, man, let me roll up and just creep up on him real quick. Then I was like, man, hold up. That's Big Wolf. That's Big Wolf. I'm not creeping up on Big Wolf. He gonna bang the whole window out. That's my brother. I love my brother, man. That's my man. But that's what it is. Big Wolf, man, shout out to you. Shout out to 300 gangsters and all y'all and all that you do. You know I'm gonna be in much support of the things that y'all do this year. All the shows that y'all bring to Baltimore. We got to support that on this network, on this channel. Man, I just appreciate y'all. I appreciate all those that's doing work. You know what I mean? Peace and love, family. Also, we're going to have my brother on Wednesday. We're going to have my brother Tunica L here on Wednesday. Yes, sir. Brother Tunica L will be here on Wednesday. Also, on Monday, we're going to have my brother Gabriel Hernandez L will be on the platform. We'll be on the platform. Y'all wait for the topic to come up. We're going to be on the platform. We're going to get deep with it. We might get a little controversial with it. We're going to make an announcement on the platform tomorrow concerning my brother Gabriel Hernandez L and the temple in Atlanta. We're going to get busy. We got some things happening. I appreciate y'all. It's going to be decent. It's going to be decent. I'm telling you, this is going to be a decent week. And then the following week, I got some more stuff coming up. Family, I told y'all at the beginning of the year, we're going to bring some real good programming on here. I can't wait till I get with Abba, see if Abba still want to do that debate. I would love to do that debate with Lord Abba if it got structure. One position of debate is, do one person or do one group have sole authority of the Moorish Temple of America? That's one question. I say no. He says yes. And the second question was, does a 501c3 take you out of the concept of Moorish science? And I might be saying it a little bit wrong, but that's basically the gist of it. I say yes. He says no. I said 501c3 takes you out of the concept of what Moorish science and a philosophical approach to our liberation is. Absolutely it does. I will prove mine. He will prove his. I've been waiting on this, the framework for 2 weeks now. Maybe he been busy, just like I've been busy, but I ain't that busy, because Abba is one of the most well-respected scholars as it relates to Moorish science. But on that topic, he ain't going, on that topic, he will not win. On that topic, he won't win. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you, he will not win. You know what I'm saying? We will not win on that topic. So I'll wait for him to send me the framework, the working debate frame, and we'll go. We'll go. You know what I'm saying? Oh, hey, Lord Abba, you can get another topic with Gabriel Hernandez, brother. You know that brother. You know that brother ain't no slouch. Come on now, Abba. Come on, Abba. Stop, Abba. Now you don't want to take 2 L's. Hey, we can do this one next week and then the week. I can't do it this week, Abba, but we can do it next week and then the week after that. We can take 2 L's in 2 weeks. And then you be LL Abba Cool L. Abba. LL, we're gonna give you 2 L's. Now I appreciate you, brother. I'll be waiting for you to send that over whenever you're ready. Let me know. If we can do it next week. Next Wednesday is fine with me if you're ready. If you're ready, I'm ready. Appreciate everybody in the building, man. Thanks for supporting Moorish World TV. Thanks for all that y'all do. You know, y'all show up every week, and we're gonna keep it going. Peace and love, family. I'm up out of here. Enjoy your week, and I see y'all tomorrow night. Gabriel Hernandez. Let's go. Peace and love. I'm out.